Welcome to Manager Tools. This week's topic, how to handle a sudden demotion. The questions this cast answers are, what do I do when I'm suddenly demoted? What do I do when I'm put in a worthless or non-existent role? And should I quit when I'm demoted?
So, you love our guidance and you've been listening for a while to great personal success. But now you find yourself in a position where you're an executive or you're a manager or a leader in an organization where you're responsible for a group of people who are distributed all over the globe. Now, what do? How do you get them all on the same page? Well, lucky for you, we have a solution. Manager Tools can deliver our Effective Manager, Effective Communicator, and Effective Hiring Manager conferences live virtually over Zoom in order to ensure that regardless of where your folks are sitting, they can all benefit from the guidance. Send us an email to customerservice@manager-tools.com and we'll provide more information about how we can help you.
All right, Sarah. So when we saw the content for today, we were really excited.
Mhm.
And I have to admit, I was really excited to see this, to get to record it. And so we're really focusing today on the fact that most professionals oversimplify their careers.
Yeah, we think of it binary a little bit, I think, right?
Mhm.
It's either off or on. You either have a job or you don't.
As opposed to more like a progression and a process. And it's funny because in my mind, for myself, when I think back on my career, I think of it as a very natural kind of flow, which isn't, I think, how we view the future as much. So if you have that experience of looking back and thinking, well, that is how I see it, we're actually talking about thinking about the situation you're in and maybe the future in this case. And it's almost like if you think about your past career, you realize the perception you have of the future is that unnecessarily binary setting.
Yeah.
And lots of managers learn that there are roles and situations where you might be employed, but your role doesn't feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
You're not sure that there's a lot of future there.
I have a job, but do I?
And if you do, and you know it's going to be there for a while, maybe it's not going anywhere. Maybe there's no future excitement or part of the role that you think will be success in the future. Maybe there's just uncertainty. You don't know what the situation is.
Yeah.
Nobody's really saying. Maybe
Mhm.
you've just been demoted.
Yeah.
That could be it.
That could be it. It happens. It happens to somebody in our community we were talking to relatively recently. I mean, as we do, put out guidance that is beneficial to our audience members, and many other people experience this situation and don't know what to do about it, right? So today's outline, we're going to cover 3 things. The first rule, stay. The second rule, seek. And the third rule, sleuth. And I'm not sure I'm entirely correct, but I think I am. I think this might be the only time we have used like an acronym, like mnemonic device, like SSS, in order to help the idea stick to people's brains, to help them remember. And folks, it's kind of geeky and we promise not to do it again. But in order to help you remember, especially in stressful times, because let's face it, if you've never been demoted before, you're terrified when it happens. And there's that moment. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? SSS. Stay, seek, sleuth. And this is why we don't make mnemonic devices.
I'm not sure. Okay. Well, I don't know if that's why. Also, it's so funny. I was having a conversation yesterday, actually, with someone who was talking about verbal tics.
Mhm.
They noted their own verbal tics and then asked me about mine. And I answered, and I also, at the same time, thought to myself, you know what I need to stop saying is, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was the only one around here saying that, and you
I do it.
just used it. So I'm not sure which of us started it. Yesterday, though, I thought to myself, I should really stop saying that. I know we started saying it in meetings.
Yeah.
And just not.
I think we spend
I'm
so
not sure
much
it doesn't-
time together. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like we
for
have
sure.
each other's verbal tics at this point. Like we
Absolutely
share them back and forth.
And I think we started it to preface for our directs in meetings, hey, I think this is the case based on my memory or something like that.
Right.
And it occurs to me, because I said it the other day to somebody who doesn't work here,
Mhm.
and I could see on their face, their perception of it was, wow, that's an arrogant statement.
Okay. Yeah. No, I never thought of it like that. But yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
I could be
You mean
wrong.
it as like a,
And I'm not.
yeah. Yeah, but yeah, you mean it as like a, this could be wrong, but I actually think I'm right. Not like as
Disclaimer.
a, like, this could be wrong, but I almost never am. So probably not.
Right. Okay. And in this case, we do believe that this guidance is the correct path forward. Should you be demoted? First rule, stay. The premise here, our title, is how to handle a sudden demotion. And this recommendation and guidance covers more situations than just that one.
Mhm.
Demotion is only the most likely.
Yeah.
You were a manager, you had a team of directs, and you've been told now that either immediately or imminently you will be an individual contributor.
Yeah. Like
So that
literal
would be a demotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, this same concept, these same rules, if you will,
Mhm.
hold true for other situations. Like, for example, it could be a situation where you're told that as part of a larger organizational reorg, your group or your department is going to be going away. And you'll hear soon where you're going to end up. Right? Or you're a manager and you've been assigned to a special project of sorts. Could be as an individual contributor or as a lead or as a manager, any of those kinds of things. And you're told that when you finish this special role that you're currently with, by all accounts, that this successful tour of duty is done, completed, you're not going to be going back to your regular team. But also, nobody seems to know where you will be going back. So it's kind of that moment where it's like, okay, what's happening? What's the next spot? It can work for that too. This same concept holds true.
Yeah. And because it could apply in a few different situations, and we don't want to increase your uncertainty since this is an inherently uncertain prospect.
Situation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Here's how to assess whether this guidance is right for you. You feel you've been dealt a career setback or demotion, regardless of the proximate cause. Be careful when you ask yourself whether this applies to you. We're giving you general guidance. Certainly, if you and your boss haven't been getting along and you get moved without much information to an individual contributor role, yes, that's definitely what we mean by a demotion here. But suppose you're a top performer and you've known your boss for a couple of years, you have great reviews, and your boss says to you one morning, I volunteered you for a special assignment that almost nobody knows about, and it's working on something very hush-hush for a top VP. So you'll be on this project team for roughly 3 months, and then the world will be yours, even though you won't come back to your team. Trust me, you want to do this. Doesn't fit the bill here.
Yeah.
You have lost your team,
Mm-hmm.
and this is definitely not a demotion.
Exactly. It's the best way of, I suppose, if there's a thing, of losing that team. If generally a general good rule here will hold true. If your spidey senses are saying this is good, it's probably good. But if your spidey senses are saying, something doesn't feel quite right here, follow today's guidance.
Mm-hmm. Good. So you've done the assessment. Your spidey sense says things are not right. Once you've decided that you are at risk, the first thing to do is stay where you are.
Yeah.
Do not quit.
Do not quit. Don't do anything, really. I mean, except seek and sleuth, but stay.
Right.
Like, don't
quit in a
make
huff.
big changes. Yeah.
Don't say anything you'll regret. Oof. Yeah. Start guarding your words and conversations. Don't act like, oh my gosh, I've had it up to here, action hero type.
Yeah.
Huffity puffity, big chest, like stomping around person. Don't unleash some kind of diatribe, speech about what you've always done and
I'm tired of this place. I've had it up to here. Finished.
or like what you've always really thought.
Yeah.
This isn't a time to start talking about your Delta file items.
Yeah, no.
This is a time to sit quietly, accept your fate, at least temporarily, and decide to stay with your employer for a bit. Do whatever job they're asking you to do. if they don't give you a lot to do, that's okay. You can use your
Yeah.
free time to plan your next move. And the first thing we recommend is to stay. Sit tight, stay put.
Don't make a big deal of it. Now, we're not saying it's not a situation that would be worthy of making a big deal of it. That's not at all what we're
Sure.
saying. We're just saying, don't be that guy. Look, here's the thing. They're probably expecting you to quit.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those ugly political moves that is cowardly, frankly, and organizations sometimes do with its employees. Now, you should know something about cowards. In Dante's Inferno, not only were cowards not admitted to heaven, but
Oof.
they were also not even admitted to hell. They were just chained to the gates of heaven. Not even hell was good enough for the cowards, essentially.
Such an intense analogy.
I know, it's so intense. I know, it is incredibly intense. But listen, someone with power has demoted you because they want to see you gone. Again, your spidey sense is telling you something's wrong. Then something beyond your control has occurred where you've been put in a position where what the organization hopes will happen is you'll just up and leave. But that individual also doesn't at the same time have the courage to come to you directly for, let's face it, for fear of leaving fingerprints on the murder weapon. Instead, they've decided they're going to lie to you and tell you everything is fine and it's totally cool. It's okay. We're just kind of figuring things out. We're just going to demote you for now, even though your gut is screaming to you, it's absolutely not okay.
Yeah, which is fun, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure everyone loves it. That's why we say stressful situation.
And okay, so your gut's screaming at you.
Mhm.
We should note, for the record, most people do quit.
Yeah. It's what they want.
Right. The bad guys get what they want.
Yeah.
And by the way, then they make it worse when you do quit, if you do quit, with like fake, oh, this was a temporary thing. We were shortly going to announce a new role. So we're so sorry to see you
It's
go.
too bad she's going.
Which is fake and false just as much as you think that it is.
Mhm.
And so that's a really interesting way for them to have behaved. And as my grandmother Glow says, manners are not the thing that help other people behave, rather the thing that allows us to behave when other people do not. So we're not going to give them the satisfaction. We're not going to base our actions on their actions. And it serves your purpose better to stay for now.
Mhm.
It really does. So not only are we going to say, hey guys, I know what's up. We're not going to say anything, but in our minds, we're going to think, not only do I know what's up here, and you're not going to get what you want out of me, I'm going to get what I want out of this situation and do what's best for me.
Mhm. Now, I can see how people would be thinking, though. Okay, but wait a minute. So you've basically just helped to confirm my suspicions that I'm currently swimming around in poison. You're right. We basically have. And you're not wrong. And the reason we still encourage you to stay, the reason it still serves you to go absolutely nowhere personally is you are going to get paid real money to conduct your job search. That's
that.
exactly why. Now, we'll get to this. Do a little bit of digging into maybe finding out why it really happened. But
From the inside.
from the inside, exactly. But all I'm saying is don't turn down free money to look for a new job.
And also
Instead-
health insurance.
And also health insurance, exactly, 401k,
Mhm.
things like that. I mean, stay, collect your paycheck, smile, and you can make your future plans all the way to the bank.
And we recommend that you do this in a way that allows you to get as much salary as possible,
Yeah.
which is to say, in a way that allows you to stay as long as it takes to get a job. What we recommend is that you be a resource to your former team, make sure they know you're available, offer to help them whenever they need it. It is generally best to be passive in this situation. You do not want to poke the bad guys. I almost said poke the bear, but because they're hiding behind their
Yeah.
fakeness, I don't know that they're acting like bears. So we're not going to be overt, which is to say, Don't spend an hour every day checking in with everybody, reminding them of their deliverables, and proactively communicating issues and recommendations.
Mhm.
Instead, let everyone know that you're available, that they're able to contact you, that they're able to come to you. And when they do come to you and ask you questions and all that, respond, assist.
Exactly. And folks, this guidance is true whether someone's appointed to run what is your previous team now, whether someone's appointed to run that team or not. If someone's taken over your team, we would recommend you reach out to them one time and offer to answer their questions or make suggestions as they get back put up to speed. Send them a congratulations if they're new or temporary manager, and definitely if they were one of your previous directs and have been promoted to the role of manager. But again, don't overdo it. Don't go above and beyond putting yourself out there, offer, and that's it. And I mean, the alternative is no one's appointed. And folks, don't take that as some sort of sign that you're in need of spending hours every day running your former team from the shadows because they need help and support. Do not do this. It will be seen by the organization as interfering. It'll be seen as politically inept. And most importantly, it will take time away from your number one goal right now, finding a new job.
Yeah.
You don't need to be doing that. You got more important priorities today.
And hopefully, because this podcast is meant to be useful and we are trying to help you, this next bit won't sting too much. If your feelings are hurt, get over it. You trusted your employer. Good. Unfortunately, they repaid your kindness and hard work with bad behavior. They did not behave.
Yeah, they didn't treat you in
based
kind.
on the trust, that you gave them. Okay, lose no sleep over them. Let's not. Let's simply say that is not how I would have chosen to handle it. I'm going to move on. Again, I am going to be the bigger person, higher road, all that stuff. Look, Sarah and I have been fired. Mark and Mike have been fired. It happens. It happens to the best of us, frankly. Yeah. And all those aphorisms, those sayings, those old chestnuts are true for a reason. They're not true in every situation, but they're true for a reason. And the best revenge being success is this is the one. This is the place where it's true.
It's a good reason. Exactly. Pull up your socks and move on.
October 9th and 10th, the M Conference is coming to Dallas. M Conference is our executive level event. It's over 2 days, and we focus on hearing from our community members what has made them successful. Come to M Conference. Learn from others who have achieved how they got there and what it takes to be great. Sign up at manager-tools.com/training.
Okay, so the second rule then, for after we've decided, okay, we're going to stay and we're going to answer questions and we'll be a helpful resource, but we're not going to go above and beyond. The next rule then is seek. So, okay, you're staying, which is great. And it might feel a little bit like purgatory, sure, but ignore that feeling because why? You're getting paid. So here we go. Let's do this. And in 90 or more % of the cases, you're going to be given what we think of as like make work, right? Like it's work, but is it really that important? Or is it just like, keep me busy work? And it's probably generally going to be stuff that no one cares about. And what that means is you can probably mostly ignore it and skive it off and kind of drag your feet and not do a great job. And that's okay, which is great for you because you have other more important things to do.
And that might not be the only situation. It could be that they've actually given you real work to do. And in this case, this is rare. So if you're in the rare situation where they've actually given you real work to do and you're certain, 100% certain that you're being demoted and this isn't an actual role, it's probably time to go to HR and either complain or find out what's going on. It's just really rare that that's the case and therefore worth a second opinion.
Yeah.
And it's unlikely that you've just been demoted and then given a hard job as an individual contributor that matters.
Yeah, especially if you've been given no reason, which to our previous guidance, this is like a no good reason situation, just kind of like a, hey, we're kind of making changes. Yeah, you both have the ability to and as an employee of the company, you should be finding out why this has happened, and you're not being told any information about why
Mhm.
why this is occurring at all. Now,
And
you're going to accept their pay, okay, for, again, doing the thing that's probably not that important. And you're going to make your new job finding another job somewhere else. And you're going to do that while you're getting paid to do your current, not really that important job. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself, what do I want to do and where do I want to do it? Get your resume squared away, follow our guidance. If you're a licensee, send your resume to us and we're going to have a look at it. We've got multiple people here. Mark, Wendy have been recruiters in the past. We can take a peek. And if you haven't followed our previous financial guidance about layoffs, finances rule, cut your costs, even as much as we would say is drastic cutting of costs.
definitely.
And folks, don't hear what we're saying and think, yeah, but I don't really have to. Like, the market's good and I'm easily employable. And it's better to cut your expenses deeply right now
Mhm.
than drag your feet on it because you don't feel like you need to right now and have to make cuts later when you've figured out that you've overestimated your marketability and realize that you need to make far deeper cuts than you needed to make now. It's going to be a double whammy. If you have to do it later, you're going to have to cut much deeper and it's going to shake your confidence. It's going to make you feel like your previous decision was wrong and it's not going to do any good in the longer term.
It also, in my experience with cutting costs around job transitions, is job transitions are tough. They're fruitless until they aren't. Your actions aren't always necessarily going to feel like they're getting you anywhere. Sometimes you spend a lot of time looking. And for myself, maybe not for everyone, for myself, concrete action that you can take is reassuring in that time. And I hate to say that cutting your costs and focusing on that is a concrete action because it's not a super fun concrete action. However, it is reassuring to be able to think to yourself, maybe this hasn't all played out to the successful conclusion that I'm looking for. And I am actively daily doing things to help improve the situation, even if that is skipping eating out or things like that.
It makes you feel like you're in at least some control of some part of the world.
You're doing something.
Exactly. And you're doing something to help. Exactly.
Yeah. Another thing you can do if you're a licensee is to start reconnecting with the interview series content. And if you're not, you can become a licensee and take advantage of our most beloved product, which is included with a license. You can get it separately too, although the license is a much better value in terms of that product and the other things that it comes with. And when you do find another job, we would really suggest that you don't decide to tell all in your exit interview. So
that's a good one.
As you're going through the search, we have a lot of other resources and we'll let those podcasts and resources speak for themselves. We're not going to cover all of those things here. We do have a fantastic podcast, the premise of which I have used in my work life and personal life since it came out. The podcast is called Handling Exit Interviews, and it talks about how to say things that are truthful and positive. The closest we would recommend that you get to venting about how poorly you've been treated is, I was disappointed in how my time ended with the firm and I understand.
Yeah.
And that's a good example of the type of content that's in the Handling Exit Interviews podcast, which again is just a beautiful set of examples and guidance around how to handle communications where things didn't necessarily go well and you still have things to say that are truthful and positive. And they might catch on and then they might probe for what you really mean. And if you have someone who's probing, you might say something like, if I have to explain it, it's not worth discussing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because let's face it, the person that's doing your exit interview isn't the one that was spiteful to you. So they're probably interested in what you have to say. And then that's going to go somewhere. And we definitely don't want it to go somewhere. Finally, the last piece.
Oh, can I say one other thing about the exit interview?
Yeah.
You had like a positive idea of what might the exit interview person be doing. my fear and when I want people to watch out for is that the exit interview person actually knows what happened, that they have more information than you.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because there's no secrets at work, right? And so they're trying to, because they know you don't know, and they know that they know, and they're trying to catch you out in saying something that frankly can only be used against you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know. That would be a particularly insidious behavior. And since you're in this situation, it might be that there's other people behaving badly at this organization.
Right.
Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're thinking, my employer and company would never do that to me.
Yes.
And I love that for you.
I love that for you. Exactly. You'll never need to listen to this podcast. Unless you do. Okay, good. So, and finally, the last bit. Don't mention to anyone during your short-term stay here in purgatory, let's call it, that your primary responsibility while you're staying here is to be finding a job at some other firm. Maybe, just maybe your closest friend at work, but that would be it. That would be the ultimate line, and even I probably wouldn't do it. If the word gets out there that you're looking, you will be terminated. Why? Because you're pulling the little green curtain back and exposing the fraud of what you're going through. And an individual who would put you in this position is the exact same individual who will not want to be exposed for what they're doing. And you're going to get punished for it, which will result in you having to maintain a job search while not receiving a paycheck, which is not in your best interest. So why tell anybody? Just don't talk to your spouse about it, like the people at home that you love that have absolutely nothing to do with your workplace. And that's it.
So that brings us then to our third rule, sleuth. This guidance is third, not because it's last, really, more because it's least important.
Yeah.
During the time where you're looking for a new job, see if you can find out what happened. Maybe you have a relationship with the people who had the conversation with you and you can ask them directly. It would sound like, look, I understand senior folks have lost trust in me and I'm happy to be where I can be useful, but would you be satisfied with knowing as little as I know? What happened? Anything you can share that would help me develop myself professionally? Could try that.
Something.
Yeah.
Now, they might say something. They could say something. But we don't necessarily trust, or we don't necessarily recommend that you trust what they say to you.
Right.
Now, maybe you'll learn something, and maybe that something that you learn will help put this whole miserable nightmare into some sort of context and give you peace in the situation. Or maybe they're just going to blow smoke and it's going to be completely unuseful and completely unhelpful information. So, I mean, listen to it with a grain of salt. Maybe it'll be helpful. Maybe it won't. Don't push. But it doesn't hurt to ask.
Right.
So why not? So I feel like in summary of this, we really, really hope you never have to use this guidance. We really, really hope you never get demoted. But if you do, now you're going to know how to handle it. And that's what we want. Don't quit in a huff. Use their pay and resources to find another job. And see if you can, while you're still there, figure out maybe why it actually happened. But also, Kate mentioned something earlier, the Delta file, which you will not share at the beginning, but you will open up to add this into it. The Delta file being, don't ever do to anybody what's just been done to you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Kate.
That's it for this week, folks. Thanks so much. We'll be back next week with a new topic.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.